Oh man, where do we start this week? Producer Bethany. I almost called you Professor Bethany, but Producer Bethany works. Let's do this. So I'm all about a healthy lifestyle, eating better, just taking care of yourself overall, right? But it's one thing that I just can't rock with, and it's turkey bacon. Now, I'm not here to judge anybody that eats it. I'm really not. I'm a friend. I don't judge. But let me just say this. The last time I ate turkey bacon, as soon as I began to chew it, immediately I started looking for my wallet. And not because I thought I had the receipt in there to take it back to the store because I wasn't satisfied with the product or none of that. But I thought I was chewing it. So I had to make sure, like, this ain't that. And it was cool. Everything was all safe. Now, I like turkey. Let's not get it twisted. I like turkey at Thanksgiving. Turkey sausage is okay. Turkey sub, all of that. I just don't think you need to be going to turkey for bacon. That's all. Like I'll put it to you like this. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks the NFL has ever seen. I think everybody would agree with that. But if the Kansas City Chiefs put Patrick Mahomes at kick returner, we would look at them like they lost their goddamn mind. Like, what are you doing? You didn't sign him for that. You signed him for this. Come on, stop making turkey go out here and be bacon, and it's not supposed to. That's all. But we back in the building. It's episode 4, All for the Love. I want to shout out everybody who's been tuning in, sharing the content, subscribing, and telling a friend to tell a friend to tap in with me. I appreciate all the love, sincerely. You know what I mean? As always, the links will be in the description. You can follow me on social media. You can tap into the YouTube channel, all of that. But we back in the building. Let's start it off like this. Shout out to Brittany Renner. There's a couple different reasons I could be shouting out Brittany Renner right now. But she got a new deal. She has a deal with crystals. And I'll explain what crystals is for you guys who don't know what it is. But she has a new deal where she's promoting something, called the side chick. And it's not what you think. It's chicken sandwiches, little, chicken sliders and all that. And they look good. I'm not going to lie. Side chicks look, appealing. I know how that sounds, but I'm just relaying the news as it comes to me. Now, crystals, down here in the South, for anybody who tells you, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised, so I love White Castle. Now, White Castle is amazing. It tastes great. It might have your stomach sounding like the, dirt off your shoulder beat when you eat it, but at the same time, it's amazing, so it's worth it. It's worth it. Trust me. People in the South will have you believe that crystals is just like White Castle, and you're not really missing much if you eat it. I'm here to tell you this. If you've never had crystals, no matter where you are in the world, go find the nearest T-shirt you can find and chew on it for like 20 seconds, and you've had a crystals burger. You can put condiments on it if you want, whatever, but you've had a crystal burger if you just chew a T-shirt or just a pair of khakis or whatever, right? Now, the chicken sandwiches, I have not tried them yet. I will say that, so I can't judge. But even 2 Chainz, who is a part of this campaign and who had a hand in bringing Brittany Renner on, he even said, the tough thing was finding something on the menu that he would actually eat because he don't really rock with it. So the chicken, he had to come in and prove the quality of it. That was the first order of business. So I'm assuming that he succeeded in this. And who better to get than Brittany Renner? Now, she's someone who everybody, online, if you're familiar with who she is, you feel one way or the other, right? I'm just glad that she's leaning into who she is. She's leaning into it. That way, nobody can use that type of stuff against her. Nobody can ever say, oh, she this, she that. She's telling you what it is right now. And she's getting right on there. She has a sense of humor. And she even spoke on that. She always had a sense of humor. She can always take a joke and things like that. So to be a part of this campaign and to be promoting side chicks, I mean, who better? You understand? It's just what it is. It's how it goes. So part of this too is the slogan or whatever behind it is they're not trying to be your main chick. They're happy being a side chick. Because you might love these other chicken sandwiches. You might be headed home to have the best meal you've had in your life. But until you get there, you need something to hold you over. I know this sounds like a commercial right now for them, but I promise it's not. But you need something to hold you over. You're going to be sitting in traffic for a little while. Maybe you listening to this podcast. I don't know. You listening to music. But you need something to hold you over. So get you a couple side chicks, man. Again, I know how this sounds. I know how it sounds. I'm just saying. Shout out to Brittany Renner. I think it's a great campaign. Shout out to 2 Chainz. And actually, this leads me into the next thing I want to talk about. Because 2 Chainz is involved here too. Our uncle, Ron Isley, is back out here in these streets. I want to say he's wilding, but then the more I think about it, I don't know. So let's really talk about it, right? There's a song out right now called The Plug. 2 Chainz is featured on it. Our beloved uncle, Ron Isley, is on there. And when the clip started making its round, I saw the picture and I heard the voice. And the first thing I thought was, man, Cuttino Mobley is having a hell of a second act. He's having a hell of a second act. I knew he was nice with the left and take you off the dribble and all that, but I didn't know he really could sing like this. And then immediately I was like, oh damn, that's Uncle Ron and all that, you know? Uncle Ron is out here. I gotta pull up some of these lyrics real quick because Uncle Ron is out here. Like I said, I can't say he's wilding. I really can't. Because if you know anything about the Isley brothers and you know how they give it up historically, you know that this is kind of par for the course. So he says, this is just a little piece of it. You can go hear the song. Like I said, it's called The Plug. He says, you know I got it. Hey, you can weigh it any time on the scale. Yeah, it's all there. Have no fear. Never been the one to kiss and tell. Your secret's safe. It's safe here. Now, he would have you believe he's talking about love. Maybe he is. But if he's talking about something else, you know, it makes sense either way. That's why I think it's genius. And so a lot of times when you hear about these, you know, these glorious stories about these kingpins from back in the day and the Guy Fishers and this guy, that guy, you always relate that to rap because the rappers always look like the drug dealers. The rappers always, you know, talking about the image and they sound like it and all of that. But a lot of those guys love R&B. And the Isley brothers, I don't care. You pull up those old pictures and you see how they was dressed and all that. The knife work was on Shinobi, you know? So I don't know if you really wanted to run up on them back in the day or none of that, but it probably wouldn't end well for you. It wouldn't go in your favor dealing with these guys. You understand? So I personally think this is what the drug dealers would have sounded like. This is exactly what the drug dealers would have sounded like if they could make music. I don't think they would have been rappers. They were smooth. They were trying to get the ladies, talk to the ladies. Now I know we know Uncle Ron for, you know, the Between the Sheets and the Contagious and all of that. But this right here, the more I listen to it, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. It caught me off guard. But also, I grew up around older black men, and this is how they talk. You know what I mean? At them kids' parties, when the kid time is up and it's adult time, this is how they talk when they get to twisting them white papers up and all that and get to drinking that brown water. This is how they speak. You know, they start telling them old tales, and this is just kind of how, you know, this is normal. It's par for the course. It's regular, right? So I'm not really mad at it. Nas has a song called Second Childhood, and it's not really about being a child again, but it's more so about reliving a time in your life now that you just kind of want to revisit. And so I think that making enough money, having enough status, you're like, you know what? I'm about to get over here and talk. I'm going to talk crazy. He's singing like the way Rick Ross raps. That's really just what it is. So shout out to Uncle Ron, man. I'm not mad at this. I'm not mad at it at all. You know, it caught me off guard a little bit because the voice and all that, you know what I mean? But shout out to Unc. We gonna rock either way, man. What else we got up here, man? What else we got to get into today, Producer Bethany? I keep almost calling Producer Bethany Professor Bethany. I almost did it. Let's do this. Every episode so far, you hear me give appreciation and give these flowers out. I have to salute Math Hoffa, who has built an incredible platform with my expert opinion, with his podcast, his show. And a lot of people are being introduced to Math Hoffa for the first time as a media person. Me, I go back to when he battled Dose. Now, this probably sounds crazy to people who don't know battle rap, so let me break it down. Let me break it down this way. First time I heard Math Hoffa rap, he was talking about T-Rex and how T-Rex was scared to battle him. In today's day, that would be like the equivalent of somebody showing up to the court saying, I was supposed to play Giannis Antetokounmpo today, but he was scared to pull up. It's the same thing because that's kind of how T-Rex was back then in the battle world. So when I heard Math say that, I had to, hey, hold on. I had to smack DBD. Yes, DBD. I had to, you know what I'm saying, get the remote to play this and all that. You know, I know this sounds like 100 years ago, but this is a real thing. Fast forward all this, you know, all these years, Math has, you know, been in the news for punching people in the face and doing all type of other stuff. But the fact that he's built this great platform after making mistakes publicly and, you know, doing a lot to mend his image and to turn into someone who, quite frankly, if you're a rapper, if you're somebody of any stature, in any stature, like you have to make your way to his pod. You know, like he's part of the press run now because it used to be just Hot 97 and, you know, the Breakfast Club and, you know, they go holler at Sway and they talk to Big Boy. But now you see these same artists from Q-Tip to Tony Yayo and, you know, Uncle Murder, whoever it is. Rich Homie Quan is out there right now. Young Guru, shout out to Guru. He's out there talking to Math and, you know, pulling up to the barbershop. And it's really just barbershop talk, not just because of the setting, but because it's just, you know, it's just the guys kicking it. Let's have a conversation. You know, they're not there to really talk about anything crazy, you know. But shout out to Math, man. I got to give him all the credit in the world for building up this great platform. He does a great job. Salute to him. I would love to pod with him one day. Let's make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him. Coming up shortly, very shortly, like right after we pay some bills and all that, we got the homie Claire pulling up. Some of y'all might be familiar with her. Some might not. She does some writing. She's into music. You know what I'm saying? She's a LeBron James fan. We're going to get into some stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, stay tuned. She's going to pull up in a second, man. We're going to talk about a couple things. You know what I mean? So, as promised, joined by one of the homies. You gotta love it when the homies pull up. You yes. got to. Claire is in the building. Claire, please introduce yourself for the people who might not be familiar.
My name's Claire. I am a musician, and I also have a double life as an NBA media member, kind of. And you can find me talking shit and tweeting too much at Claire MPLS.
That was a crazy undersell. Like when Claire says she's a musician and kind of in the media, what she really meant to say was she is an amazing musician and she writes a lot of dope shit, right? So
thank you.
You know, so a lot of stuff that you put out right now, you know, you're writing for Guardian Sports. How did you get into that? And you know, let's talk about some of your the recent work, right? Like you know, you talked about Sarver and Ime Udoka situation. You know, Scottie Pippen Jr., Sharif O'Neal.
Oh, you've been reading. Okay.
Yeah, come on. Of course, you know, you already know. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how did you even get involved with that?
I mean, how did I get involved in basketball or the Guardian specifically?
Oh, the Guardian specifically.
They slid in my DMs. It sounds crazy, and I feel very spoiled and lucky to say that because I know I don't take it lightly. Like, I'm very, very fortunate, and I have a lot of friends who, you know, write about basketball who grinded their way up through writing about Little League, you know what I mean? Really pounded the pavement, and that was just not my path to where I am. And my editor had been following me on Twitter and thought I had a cool voice and that I might be good at it. And he asked me, have you ever thought about writing about basketball? And I was like, nope, sure haven't. And he was like, well, would you consider it? And I was just like, I mean, yeah, if you are cool with the fact that I have really no experience doing this sort of thing and I might be horrible at it, but if you're down to give me a shot. And he's like, I don't think you're going to be horrible at it. I think you're going to be good at it. Yeah. And so that's how that started, which is crazy. But it was really just from Twitter, which is, to be honest, how pretty much all of my NBA media opportunities have come to me. Absolutely. Is through that beautiful and cursed app. Yeah,
I mean, Twitter, it is great in that way, right? Because you sit back and then like you say, you look at it and you say, damn, I didn't have to pound the pavement and grind my way up. But at the same time, you did have to show who you are. You had to show a side of your personality when it comes to sports and basketball, you know, in particular, where it's like, oh, wait a minute, we want to talk to her. We want to hear from you. Because I think a lot of times, and I don't want to shit on anybody, right? But a lot of times things come off as too polished and too, you know what I mean? We kind of want to hear from people who sound like us and, you know, speak the language that we do. And it's this is somebody who I can directly connect with and say, yeah, this is a cool person I want to read stuff from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's kind of why I even got into it was I just felt personally like there was a type of coverage that I wanted to see that I wasn't seeing. And so I think that's like why I even gave myself permission to like add my voice to the chorus, because I think there's already so many voices out there. And I'm like, whether it's music or writing or whatever, I always am like asking myself, like, what am I contributing to the conversation? Otherwise, I don't feel like I really need to be there.
That's important.
But I do think that they're like basketball as a sport. It's so fun and it's so like it's really exists in a greater culture. And I felt like a lot of the basketball coverage I was seeing was really missing that point and was really making it like any other sports coverage, I guess. Yeah,
no, for sure. And obviously, right, like in this day and time, we have a lot of dope people covering sports, especially women. But your experience on Twitter or just, posting things that you write or whatever, how have you found it navigating? And I hate that we even still have to have this conversation in 2022, but unfortunately it's just how it is. But navigating sports media and just kind of like these social media platforms covering sports as a woman, where it's like, if you say one thing that someone doesn't agree with, it's like, oh, get her out of here or whatever. You know what I mean?
That's 100% it. I think that's the biggest difference I've noticed between the way people react to women and like to myself, other women in the media, when they give a sports opinion or they say something versus a man is just like we're given a lot less grace, I think, to be wrong. And I think a lot of being a sports analyst and like talking about sports is being able to be wrong and just sort of like throw an opinion out there, and maybe like a prediction isn't right, or maybe like you didn't get a detail quite right, but it's sort of like it's a conversation. And I've noticed that my male colleagues are given a lot more grace from the audience to be bold and to be to have a voice that maybe like is dissenting. And if you're a woman, I feel like you're held to a lot higher of a standard of like, I knew you didn't know your shit, where it's like men can be wrong all the time. Like we're human. It's part of the deal.
No, absolutely. So in that way, and not to say that you wouldn't want to be accurate anyway, but in that way, does it make the process of writing or covering sports like a little more strenuous, because you're like, damn, if I pronounce somebody's name wrong, like it's over. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think, I think where just me specifically, I'm very lucky is that I have a whole another career, right? Like I'm a musician, and at the end of the day, that's still I would say in a lot of ways, my main career. And so I feel like it gives me a lot of like, it makes things less scary and feel less fraught for me, because I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, I totally fuck this up and I'm never allowed to talk about basketball again. I still have a whole nother job. So that has literally nothing to do with this, even a little bit. And I think, that's just like really fortunate for me, is like the stakes are quite low for me, because this is like very much like a secondary career. For the other women around me, I mean, like I think it's hard, and I think that's true. I think that's true for basically anyone who's not a white man doing any job. It's not just sports and it's not just women. Like your margin for error is automatically just so much smaller, and like we've seen that time and time again, whether it's with law enforcement or whether it's in the workplace. Like you cannot fuck up if you're not a white dude. Like the margin for error is just so small, and I feel like, honestly, being a white woman, I have a lot of privilege there, just built into my race that, I'm sure that this exact same job I'm doing is 10 times harder for women of color as far as like the grace they're given. So I have to acknowledge that as well.
You know what? And that's a great point as well, though, right? Like with the music being, like you said, your primary, career. And, so it does like allow you a certain level of freedom where it's like, okay, look, I'm going to give my opinion on some stuff and hopefully people like it. But if they don't, then, it is what it is. One of the things that you give your opinion on a lot, this guy, LeBron James. I don't know if you people out there. I don't know if y'all heard of him. I don't know. Maybe you heard him. He's a kid from Akron.
He's an upstart kid from Akron.
There's
a lot of buzz around him.
He's a good kid, man. He's a good
kid. Solid. Good, strong family.
Absolutely. And so to see LeBron James, first and foremost, to even hear the words like past Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is wild in itself, because, growing up watching basketball my whole life, that's one of those records that you just don't think anyone's going to, come close to, let alone pass it. So for us to be on the cusp of watching LeBron James do this, like, what does that mean for him? And then for you as a fan of LeBron?
I mean, I think I'm in favor of anything to build LeBron's legacy because I'm in the LeBron is the GOAT camp. So I'm like, anything to add to reasons why detractors don't have a case is like, makes me happy. But I also think that, like, you know, I think LeBron is someone who, because he doesn't have as many like championships necessarily yet or whatever, like there's a lot of places where people can be like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? So I think like being the all-time scoring leader is just such an unimpeachable like accomplishment. And I think at the same time, you know, so that's really positive and it affects his legacy in a positive way. At the same time, I think it doesn't tell the full story of him at all. And it doesn't tell you what makes him so special, because I think in so many ways, LeBron's impact on the court, when not like then in the ways that don't affect his own scoring, is part of what makes him so special. And it's a lot of what makes him so special to me. Like, he's an incredible facilitator. He makes everybody around him better. So those are the ways in which I think you just have to have kind of watched him play. Maybe he'll end up, you know, near the top of the assists list as well. Like maybe there'll be other metrics of that. Yeah. But I think, you know, obviously that's great. The scoring title is a huge, you know, trophy to add to the case of what he already has. But I think what makes LeBron special is like not quantifiable in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And it's so crazy, too, because LeBron James isn't necessarily seen as a scorer. Like, when you say scorer, you think of guys like...
he talks about that a lot.
Yeah, like Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony. And it's like, this guy's about to be the all-time leading scorer, and he's not a scorer. So I think in that way, you probably had to have watched LeBron fail to appreciate the things that he's doing as well, because it's like, you know, it's easy to watch him be great and all that. You know, and so with that, do you have one favorite LeBron James moment? Is there one that just sticks out where you're like, yeah, that's it.
Oh man!
For somebody who's never, if we were living in a world where somebody did not know who LeBron James was, what moment would you pick out to show them and say, "This is LeBron James"?
I mean, for me, I think about more like years or series or games versus like one specific moment. Obviously, the block on Iguodala kind of is like the most iconic like snapshot moment, maybe. My personal, you know, favorite version of LeBron James was actually that year in Cleveland, the last year that they went to the finals, when obviously there was like, he got memed for like the J.R. Smith moment and stuff. But I just thought that version of LeBron was, to me, like peak superhero LeBron in that playoffs, because I think that team, if you look at that roster, it wasn't like, this might be a hot take, it wasn't a whole lot better than some of the Lakers rosters that people are like, how is he supposed to do anything with them? Like, we're talking about Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, like on the way out, Kevin Love. Like, this is not a very impressive roster. So
it's a good NBA 2K roster, but like real life roster, it's like,
yeah, and especially at that point in all of their careers, like none of them were like super young, or there wasn't a ton of, you know, young talent on that later end of the Cleveland run. So that version of LeBron is my personal favorite. But the Lakers, I mean, the bubble version I thought was amazing. I don't know. There's so many moments. That's why he's the GOAT. Like, you could pick, like, you could do, honestly, Mari, you could do like an hour-long podcast and like the best LeBron James moments. Like, there's just so many.
Yeah, I think
Can
the
you tell
older
I love him? Is it obvious?
Well, I couldn't tell, really. I really couldn't tell at all. At no point. Yeah,
I'm subtle about it.
I mean, you know, I'm a Michael Jordan guy, but I'm also not an anti-LeBron, LeBron guy. You know, that's the thing, and I think people
that's
don't
how
understand
I feel about Jordan.
You can be. You don't have to necessarily hate the other side because you choose this side. You know what I mean? Like, I'm being able to watch LeBron in real time, and I love to see it. You know what I mean?
It's so subjective, and that's how I feel about the GOAT argument, and that's what it comes down to for me, just in general, is like, it's like choosing your favorite color. Like, there is no objective greatest of all time. The only way that I try and advocate for LeBron in that way is, it's like, to me, it's the GOAT conversation, and there's a very few number of names in that. As long as you can narrow it down to like 3-4 names and LeBron is among them, I'm satisfied. If you pick Jordan, I have no qualms. He is the GOAT in so many ways. Even like Kareem, if people want to choose Kareem, like that's also like, there's a lot of stats behind that. Yeah. But I'm just like, when people are like, no way LeBron's in the conversation, I'm just like, that's disrespectful. But as long as you can include him in the conversation, like I'm happy with the Jordan pick or several other picks.
Yeah, you know, I like that. It's a very interesting perspective right there, because I guess I never really thought about it like that. Like, regardless of who you pick, as long as there's a consensus on the conversation of the guys you can mention,
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, as long as my guy is in there, then I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like that.
It's a toss-up to me between Jordan and LeBron.
Yeah.
There's a very solid argument for both.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And so just real quick before we let you go, we did talk about the music a little bit. I'm a fan of the music. No secret.
Thank you.
I love a lot of the songs. I want to say off the top of my head, Autumn it may be my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite.
That's
I love
a
that
deep
song.
cut. Wow.
I love that song a lot. Like that's a song that's like,
thank you.
you know what I mean? If I was one of these like big platforms and all that, I would be playlisting that. Like that's one of those. You know what I mean? So
thank you.
are there any plan? I'm sure music is, you know, you're a natural creator, so there's always something that's going on. But are there any plans of getting the music anytime soon? Anytime in the future?
Yeah. I'm working on a new record right now.
Okay.
And I feel like I've been in sort of like I feel like my life has gone in like seasons where I'm like in a music season or I'm in like a media season. I feel like since the pandemic, I've been in more of a media season. Like I've really just been building out that side of my career. But starting this year, I'm going to like definitely be putting a lot of focus back into music and for sure new music out. Like hopefully something like maybe even a song by the end of the year, but for sure within the next like 6 months, there'll be music out.
Okay, cool. Hey, that's all I needed. That's all I needed was just something. You know what I mean?
I miss it too. I miss putting music out so much.
Yeah, man. I think and I think like covering the NBA and like doing all of this, it'll be a treat for people who caught on. You know, started covering you. You know, or tapping into you.
Yeah, they're gonna be so confused.
Like, oh wait a minute, you sing too? Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah. So
which is so surreal for me because it used to be the opposite. Like I would be doing music stuff and people would be like, "Wait, you know about basketball? Like what?" And now I feel like
duality.
It's the opposite. Like I'll be talking hoops and people will be like, "Wait, you're a musician also?
Yeah,
like what?"
yeah.
So I contain multitudes, you know.
That's great. I'm happy. I'm happy to hear it. Also happy to have you join me. Feel free to pull up anytime.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored you asked.
Nah, absolutely, man. We definitely got to get you back on. NBA season is coming up. We will definitely be tapping back in with you.
I know.
Have you back on. You know what I mean? We're gonna be talking, man. We definitely gonna talk. So
amazing.
You know, thank you for joining me once again. Appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mari. That was really fun.
Yo, so shout out to Claire for pulling up. As usual, man, you know, you check her stuff out, the music, the writing, all of it. You know what I mean? Stay tapped in. But let's get to some stuff, right? I know I owe y'all some album reviews. I got you. I ain't forget. I got you. But first, I got to get to this. Some NFL stuff. Shout out to my guy, Reggie. I've been knowing Reggie. We went to elementary school together, actually. You know what I mean? My dog, Reggie Blake, lived on the same block, all of that. He hit me up and he said, Mari, man, you have to talk about this on the pod. And what it is, it's the NFL. NFL is nasty, man. You know it's nasty. But we're talking about the Miami Dolphins in particular, who have been in the news for these concussions, right? Tua, their starting quarterback, caught a concussion a couple weeks ago to the point where when he stood up to walk off the field, his knees buckled and he couldn't walk. It looked like he was doing Jabberwocky choreography right there on the field. You know what I'm saying? And they still saw it fit to put him back in the game and finish that game out. Now, on a short week, and what I mean by a short week is that was Sunday, they let this man play again on Thursday Night Football, where he got slammed to the turf once again. His fingers was doing something crazy. They had to cart him off the field. Could not finish that game. And they just kept rocking like it was normal. They even tweeted after the game was over with that, oh, he's on a plane, he's good, he's watching, this, and he's laughing. And it's like, bro, he's had 2 concussions in a couple days. He's not supposed to be watching anything. Light and all of that stuff. You maybe should not put that type of information out there. So, nevertheless, he doesn't suit up for, their last game that they played. And they had to run Teddy Bridgewater out there. Teddy Bridgewater, he gets a concussion. So now they ended up on their third string quarterback. I got to get this guy's name right. This guy's name is Skylar Thompson. Now, if you didn't tell me that he was a quarterback in the NFL, I would have thought it was a sideline reporter, a camera person, the audio visual, something. I didn't know it was a quarterback. So not only are they on their third quarterback, but their head coach saw it fit to say, hey, let's run a play where the lead blocker is the quarterback. The quarterback, for those who don't know how, football works, in practice, the quarterback has a red jersey on where even his own teammates cannot touch him. They need to protect him. This guy said, I know we just had 2 quarterbacks get their brains scrambled completely, but let's run this guy out there and let him be a lead blocker. Like, what are we doing, man? And I know the NFL is trying to do what they can do to combat this, and, now they're going with a, strategy or something that they're calling like the no-go thing, right? Where if you're even evaluated for a concussion at any point in the game, there's no chance that you're going back in, right? So salute to them for that. I don't want to say it's too little too late because, what can you really do? It's a gladiator sport, and I know you kind of know, you knew what it was when you signed up or whatever. I get that. But there are still measures that you can take, right? If a guy just got concussed, and it's been going on forever, there's no way you should even be checking to see if he can go back in. Before, and when I say before, I mean just a couple weeks ago, they probably hold up a couple fingers and say, can you see how many fingers I'm holding up? A guy might even say no, and it's like, can you hear me saying I'm holding fingers up? And even if they say no then, it's like, hey, just breathe if you're okay. And the dude breathe up, he's good to go. Put him back in. Because the bottom line is just wins for them. It's just wins. It's not the player's safety. You know what I mean? So it's nasty all around. I think the Dolphins failed miserably because even if, let's say even Tua said he was good to go, you don't let him go back in. Sometimes players need to be saved from themselves. They're competitors. These guys are men, warriors on the field. And it's like, of course he wants to go. Sit him down, man. You got to. So moving forward, I mean, hopefully they fix this. But, hey, I don't know. It's the Dolphins. Like, what do you expect? It's the Dolphins. Like, come on. Let's get to these albums, though. Couple albums dropped, and I want to talk about 2 in particular. One, Rome Streetz, Kiss the Ring, executive produced by Westside Gunn. Talked about this on episode 1, I believe. And this shit is everything that Wes promised. Everything. Every time, Griselda has a project coming out, Westside Gunn always, puts out a post talking about how great it is and it's a masterpiece. He's yet to lie to us. Westside Gunn has yet to lie to us. Man is a prophet. He's a genius. And I think his catalog is one of the best that we've ever seen in hip-hop. And it just continues on the executive side because Rome Streetz dropped what I think should be in consideration for album of the year on the rap, on the rap side. Kiss the Ring is flawless. The whole Griselda is on there. He got Stove Got Cooks on there. Benny, Conway, of course. It's just crazy. I want to say my favorite song right now is Blow for Blow. Maybe close behind that is Soulja Boy. I really can't pick a true favorite. And Rome Streetz even tweeted something to this effect where he was saying, he's glad that everybody has a different choice when it comes to favorite song on the album, because if everybody had a general consensus that like this song is the one, then it usually means the rest of the album is trash. But that's not the case with, Kiss the Ring. Like I said, I still can't pick a favorite song right now. So if you've yet to hear that, please check that out. And of course, Freddy Gibbs, Sold Separately. Now, Freddy Gibbs has been around for a long time, but I would like to consider this maybe his second act. And I want to call this since like his verse on Scottie Pippen's from the Currency mixtape with Alchemist, Covert Coup, right? Ever since that, I feel like Freddy Gibbs has had a whole different fire lit under him. He had a whole different energy. He's given us Pinata, Bandana, Alfredo. He gave us Fetty with Currency and Alchemist, and he's yet to miss. Freddy is yet to miss. He gave us the album Freddy, where he's on there singing and he's on the cover looking like like Teddy Pendergrass and all that. You know what I mean? Like, and he's calling himself the king of R&B and all of this type of stuff. So I'm not mad at it. He gave us You Only Live Twice, which has one of my favorite songs of all time. Crushed Glass is on there. But to talk about the new album, he still hasn't missed. This could be another candidate for album of the year. I still love the Pusha T album to probably come home with that award for the rap side. But this one is up there. This man has Kelly Price on here. He has Kelly Price. He has Music Soul Child. Like, he has DJ Paul. He has Pusha. He got Scarface. Anderson .Paak. Like, he has Raekwon. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? This album is absolutely incredible. And I want to say the line of the album for me is when he said, a lot of shit done broke my heart, but it fixed my vision. As soon as I heard that, I was just like, that's one of them. And Freddie's good for one of those. So shout out to Freddie. I think that he's continuing to establish himself as not only one of the best rappers skill wise, but just one of the better, catalog rappers, right? When you really step back and look at what he's done, it's going to be hard to keep him out of those top rapper conversations. And, I don't mean like right now, I mean all time. So shout out to Freddy, man. I absolutely love this album. Please check those out. Kiss the Ring, So Separately. There's a couple more joints that I think we waiting on, to end this year off. Bodie James dropped something. I'll be talking about that next week. I like to give albums a little bit of time to breathe, man. I don't want to just come right out 2-3 days later and tell you how good it is, even if I think it is. So, that's what it is for now, man. But listen, till next time, check the links in the description. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know I owe y'all playlists. I will be putting those playlists out this week coming up. And if you pick up on the theme by now, it's going to be some Rome Streetz, some Freddy Gibbs on this, probably some West Side Gun. I might sprinkle a little bit of that in there. You know what I mean? But, yeah, holla at me, man. Till next time, we out.